No, you're absolutely right. No, I know. Well, that's just it. So I mean, we've really got entrenched, this police state, and I'm not one to make predictions. Don't get me wrong, but you can see just by how things have progressed, just in the last year alone, that there's got to be something that they're preparing for. There's got to be.
Of course, they're preparing for the collapse of the dollar and mass civil unrest. That's what they're preparing for. They're going to stick what they're doing. This whole open border thing, it's not. The borders are wide open. They're doing that on purpose. They're going to sick the Anglo-Mexicans on the white middle class, and they're going to sick the black middle class on the upper middle class, and it could be like a little race war or whatever. That's why if you're white, you can't say nothing about Obama's damn birth certificate. There's a whole racial issue over there. People saying that, if you say you're white and you say anything about Obama's birth certificate, you're a racist, which is stupid. They're playing this whole little divide and conquer, so when the economy fails, they will not take the blame, and there's going to be mass civil unrest, and that's going to give them all the reason in the world they want to completely roll out this police state.
The question that I have, and I want to pose it to you guys, how successful do you think that they'll be if and when this does occur? Because I can't see, I don't know, something inside of me tells me that there is going to be a contingency of people that band together and try to take down this type of establishment that's been put into place. The only problem that I see is that without the support of the military, I can't see anything like that ever happening, because there's just too many weapons and tools at their disposal to be able to marginalize anything that say a resistance could bring forward. What do you think, Gwen?
I don't know. I think that I think there's going to be a tipping point, and I'm not real sure what that tipping point is going to be, but I don't think that I think a lot of this stuff that has been going on has kind of been a monitor for them. It's kind of a meter about how much resistance they'll get, what kind of feedback they can get to monitor. I think they're just kind of monitoring because they've crossed so many lines in the sand. Mm-hmm. And there hasn't been any response. And now everybody's, the bullshit flag goes sky high every time they call false flag. I mean, it's or terrorist this or terrorist that. Everybody goes, false flag. Nobody's buying their rhetoric and their story anymore. Nobody believes the mainstream media anymore. And so they're having to up their ante. And I think what we're going to see happen is, I don't think one event is going to do it. I think you're going to see a culmination of events where enough people, like right now, today, a perfect example, we've got the South. How many cities and counties have been affected by tornadoes? Look at how many counties and towns and people are displaced in the Mississippi Valley. Mm-hmm. And then today we've got Joplin, Missouri, and who knows where else, completely off the map. More displaced people, more businesses that are ruined. You're going to start seeing people in situations like that, and I think we're going to see more of these kinds of things be a trigger for when the people just go, oh, hell no. Maybe. I think that's the most likely scenario. And I am in just utter amazement that they've been able to hold this economy together for as long as they have.
Yeah, it's definitely bubble gummed and duct taped together. That's for sure. But how much longer they can actually go along with it, I don't know. Now, what also is a little bit troubling to me, and you see Bible prophecy, it tells you this, but the amount of earthquakes, the major earthquakes, like you said, the tornadoes that are showing up now in more populated areas than I can remember them ever being. And I don't know if it's because it's more publicized now or not, but we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing the elitists preparing by making these underground shelters, and you have deep underground military bases. We've got seed vaults popping up everywhere. You've got mass graves, the coffins, just lined up outside of Georgia, as a matter of fact, just acres and acres of coffins. And you have to ask yourself, well, what are they preparing for in order for all of this to occur? And then you have NASA. Well, the solar storms are going to get pretty bad here. They're going to get bad. They're going to get bad. And it makes you wonder, is there any credibility to 2012? I don't know when or how it's going to happen. And to be quite honest with you, I really don't care. If it happens, there's nothing I can do about it. So that's just one of those things. I just hope I'm not on the side facing the sun when it occurs. That's all I could say.
Joe, I think 2011's going to make, I think by the time we get into September, October this year, it's going to make 2012 look like a walk in the park. We'll think we're at a tea party.
Why do you say that, though? Just what is it that makes you feel that way? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just, the reason why I say is because I've been following things, and I guess you could say I've been quote-unquote awake since about, 2008. So let's just say 3 years, right, that I've been really, really following things and really, really, understand things. It's actually probably more like 2006, 2007. That's when I started. But it always seems like we're right there, and that it could be any time. But what makes this year any different from the last couple of years?
We have worldwide demonstrations, and you'll notice that they're never riots until the police shows up.
Right.
They're demonstrations, peaceful protests or not so peaceful protests, but they're not riots until the police show up or the military or whatever. It's worldwide now. We have our natural disasters, I think, are not only going to increase, but that starts displacing people, but it also starts eliminating huge amounts of food resources. Mm-hmm. And I think food is going to become an issue. I think the weather is going to become an issue. I think that we are going to see financial issues, and I think all of this is going to kind of all come together, and I think by September we will see a whole bunch of real pissed off people.
Yeah, I mean, I often wonder if the unrest isn't going to be from natural disasters or something along that line, whether it be cosmic or whatever, or if it's going to be government fueled. You know what I mean? There's just so much in play, and it's hard to. First of all, you can't be tunnel visioned. You have to see everything that's going on, and there's quite a bit going on. It just seems like, and I don't know if it's because I've been paying attention more or whatever, and I guess I kind of need a reality check, and that's why I'm asking you about it. Do you think it's because we're paying attention more, or do you think it's because there's really a lot of crap going on?
I think it's both. I think people are, one of the things that they really made a really grave mistake in bailing out the bankers, because it put a whole bunch of people in the unemployment lines. So they have all kinds of free time to sit and look at the news and look at YouTube videos and do research and educate themselves.
Yeah.
That was an error on their part. It's of course good for us, but bad for them. But we've also seen, I think, a shift in the awareness that, we need to get heritage seeds, our food sources, our drinking water. It's being deliberately contaminated.
That's right.
And people look at this and they're just horrified. They wouldn't do that. Well, yes, here's the documentation. They do it. And they're like, no way, you know. And now there. So I think the government, and I do not believe for a heartbeat that all of this nastiness and weather was not manipulated by the banking criminal cartel and the powers that be.
HARP.
You know. Yeah, I mean,
what was that, Tyreek? Say that again.
HARP. It's an Alaska.
Oh yeah, HARP. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different. Now, I am of a. I'd have to take a look into that a little more. Now, I've read up quite a bit on HARP, and it's hard to say that HARP is the one that's causing all of this stuff. Now, it does have the capability of doing a lot of things, a lot of nasty things, and between that and the no offense, Gwen, the Gwen towers out there, it can wreak havoc on the brain and have a bunch of environmental impacts. But one thing that people don't realize and they don't understand is the use of longitudinal EM waves. And that's the stuff that Tesla was using and talking about. Tesla wasn't using RF energy per se when he was doing all of his experiments. He was dealing with free energy. And free energy is longitudinal EM waves. Now, 100 years ago, this man could crack the earth in two, or so he said with his death ray. And you have to think, first of all, we know that the government and governments around the world typically have technology that's probably, and I'm guesstimating, about 50 years advanced of what we know as being the latest and greatest stuff. But Tesla could do this 100 years ago. So where are we now? Where are these governments now? You know, I heard and have seen the work of Colonel Tom Bearden, who pretty much say nukes are obsolete. You know, the fear factor of the nuke is there and the devastation factor, but really the free energy weaponry that they possess is so much more devastating and so much more destructive that it makes nukes look like child play, like conventional warfare almost.
I think the chemtrails too go along with that HARP thing. I think because they spray that aluminum and it's a heat conductor, and then they ionize it and heat it up with HARP to create.
It's a plasma environment. They create a plasma environment. Yeah.
HARP it can only go for so long. I mean, it's not like an ongoing thing. They can only crank that up for a period of time, and so what they're doing is they're using that, I think, with the chemtrails and then the scalar, and superheating the ionosphere, so it creates these horrendous storms that we're having.
Right. You know, we had Dr. Judy Wood on about a week ago, and she gets raked over the coals for her theories about what happened, or not theories. Her book is actually nothing but a book of evidence. There's really no theory in it. But based on the evidence, and one of her fortes is forensics, and trying to figure out, well, you know, what does this piece of metal look like? What could cause it to happen? What forces are acting upon it when it does what it does? And her conclusion was that there was free energy technology used in the destruction of the Twin Towers. And if you read her book, Where Did the Towers Go? I can't remember. I'm kind of brain farting right now. But if you read her book, she makes a very, very compelling case for that. And of course, you know, so she goes on an interview, and I was listening to it on YouTube, and I had made a comment because people automatically, without thinking, they blow it off because they say, well, you know, there was no explosion. How could it be if there was no explosions? And I said, well, no, free energy doesn't work like that. As a matter of fact, a lot of the free energy technology, if you look up Google search, and this is for everybody out there that misses Griff, Google search mysterious booms. That's right, mysterious booms. So if you Google search that, you'll find out that, yeah, with scalar and free energy weaponry,